Catherine Monvoisin, or Montvoisin, and acute Deshayes, known as Le Voisin, was a French fortune-teller, poisoner, and an alleged sorceress. One of the chief personages in the affaire des Poisons. During the reign of Louis XIV, her purported cult was suspected to have killed anywhere between 1,000 to 2,500 people in black masses. Background: Catherine Deshayes was married to Antoine Monvoisin, a jeweler with a shop at Pont-Marie in Paris. After her husband was ruined, Le Voisin started her career by practicing chiromancy and face reading to support her family. She practiced medicine, especially midwifery, and performed abortions. As for her practice in fortune-telling, she was to say that she developed the talent God had given her. She was taught the art of fortune-telling at the age of 9, and after her husband became ruined, she decided to profit by it. She studied the modern methods of physiology and reading the client's future by reading the faces and hands. She also spent a lot of money to provide an atmosphere which could make the clients more inclined to believe in the prophecies. For example, she acquired a special robe of crimson red velvet embroidered with eagles in gold for a price of 1,500 livres to perform in. In 1665-66, her fortune-telling was questioned by the priests of St. Vincent de Paul's order, the Congregation of the Mission, but Le Voisin defended herself successfully before the professors at Sorbonne University. Activity: during her work as a fortune-teller, she noticed the similarities between her customers' wishes about the future. Almost all wanted to have someone fall in love with them, that someone would die so that they might inherit, or that the spouses would die, so that they might marry someone else. Initially, she told her clients that their will would be true if it was also the will of God. Then, she started to recommend to her clients some action that would make their dreams come true. These actions were initially to visit the church of some particular saint. Eventually, she started to sell amulets and recommend magical practices of various kinds. The bones of toads, teeth of moles, Spanish flies, iron filings, human blood and mummy, or the dust of human remains, were among the alleged ingredients of the love powders concocted by Le Voisin. Finally, she started to sell aphrodisiacs to those who wished for people to fall in love with them, and poison to those who wished for someone to die. Her knowledge of poisons was not apparently so thorough as that of less well-known sorcerers, or it would be difficult to account for Louise de la Valliere's immunity. The art of poisoning had become a regular science at the time, having been perfected, in part, by Giulia Tafana, a professional female poisoner in Italy, only a few decades before Le Voisin. She arranged black masses, where the clients could pray to the devil to make the wishes come true. During at least some of these masses, a woman performed as an altar, upon which a bowl was placed. A baby was held above the bowl, and the blood from it was poured into the bowl. She had a large network of colleagues and assistants, among them Adam Lesage, who performed allegedly magical tasks, the priests Etienne Guiberg and Abbé Marriott, who officiated at the black masses, and poisoners like Catherine Trianon. Le Voisin had many clients among the aristocracy and made a fortune from her business. Among her noted clients were Olympia Mancini, Comtesse de Soissons, Marie Anne Mancini, Duchess de Bouillon, Elizabeth, Comtesse de Gramont, François-Henri de Montmorency, Duc de Luxembourg, Princesse Marie-Louise Charlotte de Tingry, Marchioness Benign de Lullier, Comtesse Claude-Marie du Roy, the Comte de Clement Lodave, Comtesse Jacqueline de Polignac, Duchess Antoinette de Vivonne, Marquis Louis de Sessac, Marquis Antoine de Fouquiers, and the Maréchal de Lefebvre. Le Voisin resided at Villeneuve-sur-Gravois, where she received her clients. She tended to her clients all day and entertained at parties with violin music in her gardens at night, attended by Parisian upper-class society. The house also included a furnace for the bodies of dead babies, who were then buried in the garden. She regularly attended the services at the church of the Jansenist Abbé de Saint-Amour, principal at the Paris University, and the godmother of her daughter was the noblewoman de la Roche-Guyon. She supported a family of 6, including her mother, and among her lovers were the executioner André Guillaume Latour, Vicomte de Couserans, the Count de Labertie, the alchemist Blessus, the architect Fauchet, and the magician Adam Lesage. At one point, Adam Lesage tried to induce her to kill her husband, but she regretted the plan and aborted the process. Voisin was interested in science and alchemy and financed several private projects and enterprises, some of them concocted by con artists who tried to swindle her. Privately, she suffered from alcoholism, was apparently abused by Latour, and engaged in severe conflicts with her rival, the poisoner Marie Bosse. Connection to Madame de Montespan. The most important client of Voisin was Madame de Montespan, official royal mistress to King Louis XIV of France. The contacts were often performed through the companion of Montespan, Claude de Deshayes. In 1667, Montespan hired Voisin to arrange a black mass. This mass was celebrated in a house in Rue de la Tannerie. Adam Lesage and Abbé Marriott officiated, while Montespan prayed to win the love of the king. The same year, Montespan became the official mistress of the king, and after this, she employed Voisin whenever a problem occurred in her relationship with the king. In 1673, when the king's interest in Montespan seemed to wane, Montespan again employed Voisin, who provided a series of black masses officiated by Etienne Guiberg. On at least one occasion, Montespan herself acted as the human altar during the mass. Voisin also provided Montespan with an aphrodisiac, with which Montespan drugged the king. During the king's affair with Soubise, Montespan used an aphrodisiac provided by Voisin's colleague Françoise Philister and made by Louis Gallet in Normandy. In 1677, Montespan made it clear that if the king should abandon her, she would have him killed. When the king entered into a relationship with Angélique de Fontanges in 1679, Montespan called for Voisin and asked her to have both the king and Fontanges killed. Voisin hesitated, but was eventually convinced to agree. At the house of her colleague Catherine Trianon, Voisin constructed a plan to kill the king together with the poisoners Trianon, Bertrand and Romany, the last being the fiancé of her daughter. Trianon was unwilling to participate and tried to make her change her mind by constructing an ill-fated fortune for her, but Voisin refused to change her mind. The group decided to murder the king by poisoning a petition, to be delivered to his own hands. On the 5th of March 1679, Voisin visited the royal court in Saint-Germain to deliver the petition. That day, however, there were too many petitioners and the king did not take the petitions, which foiled her plan. Upon her return to her home in Paris, she was castigated by a group of monks. She handed the petition to her daughter and asked her to burn it, which she also did. The next day, she made plans to visit Catherine Trianon after Mass, to plan the next murder attempt upon Louis XIV. Investigation and execution. The death of the king's sister-in-law, the Duchess d'Orléans, had been falsely attributed to poison, and the crimes of Madame de Brinvilliers and her accomplices were still fresh in the public mind. In parallel, a riot took place where people accused witches of abducting children for the black masses, and priests reported that a growing number of people were confessing to poisoning in their confessions. In 1677, the fortune-teller Magdalene de Lagrange was arrested for poisoning, and claimed that she had information about crimes of high importance. The arrest of the successful fortune-teller and poisoner Marie Bosse and Marie Vigoureux in January 1679 made the police aware that there existed a network of fortune-tellers in Paris who dealt in the distribution of poison. On the 12th of March 1679, Voisin was arrested outside Notre-Dame de Bonne Nouvelle after having heard Mass, just before her meeting with Catherine Trianon. In April 1679, a commission appointed to inquire into the subject and to prosecute the offenders met for the first time. Its proceedings, including some suppressed in the official records, are preserved in the notes of one of the official court reporters, Gabriel Nicolas de la Reynière. At the arrest of Voisin, her maid Margot stated that the arrest would mean the end of a number of people in all levels of society. The arrest of Voisin was followed by the arrest of her daughter Marguerite Monvoisin, Geberg, Lesage Bertrand, Romain and the rest of her network of associates. Voisin was imprisoned at Vincennes, where she was subjected to questioning. On the 27th of December 1679, Louis XIV issued an order that the whole network should be exterminated by all methods regardless of the rank, gender or age. Voisin confessed to the crimes she was accused of and described the development of her career. She was never subjected to torture. A formal order was issued giving permission for the use of torture, but it was made clear that the order was not to be put in effect, and consequently it was never made use of. The reason it suggested to be the fear that she might give away the names of influential people if she was questioned under torture. Voisin never mentioned the names of any of her clients during the interviews. She once mentioned to the guards that the question she feared most was that they would ask her about her visits at the royal court. It is likely that she was referring to Montespan as her client and her attempt at murdering the king, and that she feared that such a confession should result in her execution for regicide. Her list of clients, the arranging of the Black Masses, her connection to Montespan and the murder attempt on the king were not revealed until after her death, when it was stated by her daughter and confirmed by the uncontaminated testimonies of the other accused. Voisin was convicted of witchcraft and was burned in public on the Place de Grève in Paris on the 22nd of February 1680. In July, her daughter Marguerite Montvoisin revealed her connection to Montespan, which was confirmed by the statements of the other accused. This caused the monarch to eventually close the investigation, seal the testimonies and place the remaining accused outside of the public justice system by imprisoning them under a lettre de cachet. In fiction, Voisin and her organization is portrayed in a novel by Judith Merkel Riley, The Oracle Glass, also on the Brad Steiger novel, The Hypnotist. The Age of Arsenic, being an account of the life, trial and execution of Catherine Montvoisin, known as Voisin, and of her vile associates and credulous clients of both high and low degree, together with the relation of the various transactions in poison, abortion, and black satanic masses, with other details concerning sundry manners and habits of the times and with but little moralizing thereon, the whole comprising a curious and momentous episode in the reign of King Louis XIV of France. By W. Branch Johnson, Angelique N. de Koning, and N. Serge Golan. Film. The part of Voisin in the 1997 film Marquise was played by Nemone. Manga, by Taketo Rui, is a manga partially based on Voisin.